1 hour equals 7 years. Can you imagine that? Just blinking an eye. And a few days have passed. This is what makes the movie so great. It encourages us to think that time is relative. It can feel fast or slow, moving forward or backward. This movie, titled Interstellar, was directed by Christopher Nolan and released in 2014. The most interesting thing about this movie is that all the phenomena we witness in it can be explained scientifically. In fact, there is a special book that discusses these topics, titled The Science of Interstellar. The author of the book is no ordinary person. He is Kip Thorne, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist who was directly involved in the making of this movie. Thorne is a professor of physics at the California Institute of Technology and was also a friend of Stephen Hawking. You probably know who Stephen Hawking is. Yes, Stephen Hawking was a genius scientist on par with Einstein, and his life story was also adapted into a movie. Kip Thorne, the Nobel-winning physicist, and Christopher Nolan, the highly idealistic director, collaborated to create this movie, which is not only genius in terms of its story, but also scientifically accurate. How accurate is it? Let's discuss. In the movie Interstellar, we show a black hole named Gargantua. What's unique about it is that no one has ever depicted a black hole like this before. Why? Because this image didn't come from imagination or a book. It was generated from this formula. This formula is Einstein's theory of gravity, rewritten by Kip Thorne to show how a black hole should be depicted on screen according to the actual theory. This formula was then simulated by Kip Thorne and his team on a computer, eventually producing the image we see in Interstellar.
Oliver used equations that I gave to him, fed to him, to compute what this would look like if you're looking at this black hole in front of a large number of stars.
No one had ever done this before. Kip Thorne was the first to visualize a black hole from the original equation, and it was showcased for the first time in Interstellar. This means that those of you who have watched the movie have exclusively seen a black hole for the first time, based on Einstein's actual theory. This movie introduces the concept of a black hole with a depiction that closely aligns with existing scientific theory, something that had never been portrayed accurately in a film before. As a result, Interstellar became widely famous and is studied everywhere, even serving as a reference for scientists. Now, how does this black hole change time, making 1 hour equivalent to 7 years? Please pay close attention to this explanation so you can understand and grasp what's really happening. There are two terms that are frequently mentioned in this movie: gravity and relativity. Gravity and relativity refer to a famous theory by Einstein, known as general relativity. This theory revolutionized our understanding of space and time, showing that space and time are not the same everywhere. Scientists often describe it like a trampoline. When you place a heavy ball in the center, smaller balls that roll across the surface will curve as if they're being pulled toward and orbiting the larger ball. This is what's known as gravity in Einstein's version. This is also what causes the planets to orbit the sun, and it applies to the entire universe, including ourselves. So, what's the connection with time? Time cannot be separated from space, which is why it's referred to as space-time. The rubber sheet of the trampoline represents both space and time. This means that time, like the rubber, can stretch due to the presence of a massive object, such as the sun. We don't feel this on Earth, because gravity is too weak for us to notice any difference in time. However, it's a different story when we approach a black hole.
The gravitational pull of the black hole, if you're at some fixed distance away from it, is the same as the gravitational pull of 3 suns.
A black hole is an astronomical object with a mass millions of times greater than the sun, and its gravity is so strong that it can pull in everything around it, including light. That's why this object is called a black hole. Just like the trampoline, a black hole causes space and time to curve so dramatically that time slows down very, very significantly.
And that is precisely a precise analog of a black hole. All I do is change the labels.
As shown in the movie, 1 hour near a black hole can be equivalent to 7 years on Earth. This explanation refers to a phenomenon called time dilation, which occurs due to the extreme gravitational influence near a black hole, where time passes more slowly compared to what happens on Earth. This phenomenon is explained in Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity. Then, there's an interesting discussion among scientists about what would happen if we were to enter a black hole. For sure, if we don't die, we might discover great mysteries about the universe. This discussion refers to various scientific speculations about what happens inside a black hole. Although theories suggest that traveling into a black hole would end in physical destruction due to the incredibly strong gravitational effects, it remains a fascinating topic for exploration. There are still many unanswered questions about what actually happens inside a black hole, including the possibility of hidden information or new knowledge about the universe. This is also what Interstellar attempts to depict when Cooper falls into the black hole to save Amelia. Cooper then enters a five-dimensional space. The question is, why is the five-dimensional space depicted this way? And how is Cooper able to communicate with his young daughter on Earth? Do any of you know the answer and can explain it? If you do, feel free to write your answers and thoughts in the comments section.